Maine's forests are so ancient and dense that even sound seems to get lost inside them. Places where the trees don't just surround you, they press in. Eric and Shelly Martin thought they were alone on their property in Palmyra, Maine. They were wrong. Because on one cold, moonlit night, something stepped out of the woods. Something strange and unnatural, making its presence known on four powerful legs. It stalked, that is, until it stood up. The Martins' home was nestled far from any main road, surrounded by miles of thick forest. During the day, it felt peaceful, almost comfortingly isolated. But at night, the property transformed. The trees seemed to swallow the light from the house, and the forest line felt unnervingly close. Sometimes, when the wind died down, the silence was so complete it felt unnatural, as if the woods themselves were holding their breath. Eric had mentioned it before, that uneasy feeling of being watched. Shelly usually brushed it off, until that night. It was late, well past midnight, when every sound outside suddenly stopped. No crickets, no owls, just a profound stillness. Then, a new noise broke the silence. A slow, deliberate crunch of leaves. It wasn't the sound of a wandering animal. It was too rhythmic, too purposeful, too upright. Eric crept to the window, pulling the curtain back just an inch. At first, he saw nothing but darkness. Then, his eyes adjusted. Standing at the edge of the tree line was a shape, a silhouette darker than the night around it. It was tall, broad, and perfectly still. Eyes glaring with predatory intent. Two dull amber points of light stared back at him as he stood in disbelief. They weren't reflecting the moon. They were producing their own light. Eric recoiled, his heart pounding. And that's when a second pair of eyes appeared. Then another. Shelly joined him, and together they watched as at least four massive figures emerged from the woods. They were shaped like wolves, but more. Their legs were too long, their torsos too upright, and their shoulders rolled forward like something built to overpower. One took a step closer, easily standing 6 or 7 feet tall. Then, slowly, it turned its head. Not like an animal reacting to a sound, but like something thinking. The creatures began to move, not rushing, not aggressive, but with a terrifying deliberation. Taste bleed up. One drifted toward the side of the house, another stayed near the trees, and one moved closer to the front, its silhouette blocking the moonlight through the window. It was then that Eric realized this wasn't a random encounter. They were being surrounded. The Martins locked every door, shut off the lights, and dropped to the floor beneath the windows. And they waited. For hours, they listened to heavy footsteps passing just outside the walls, and the faint sound of slow, controlled breathing. At one point, something brushed against the side of the house, not a bump, but a deliberate, exploratory touch. Shelly covered her mouth to keep from screaming. When dawn finally broke, the forest came back to life. The ground told a different story. Surrounding the house were massive tracks, too large for wolves, too narrow for bears, illustrating their stalking behavior the night before. Eric and Shelly never found out what those creatures were. They didn't stay long enough to find out, because once you've seen the woods watch you back, you never feel safe in the dark again.